Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. The Christian walk is a narrow path, and it can only be navigated by clinging on to Jesus and by following his way and allowing his life to speak for yours. We talked about the poor in spirit so far during these Beatitudes. We've talked about, the humble, or we've talked about those who mourn, those who have experienced true loss and where their comfort comes from. And today I like to sort of package this third blessing together with those three blessings as a sort of state of mind or a state of spirit or a sort of internal attitude or posture, we could say, towards God and towards others. And so we've come to meekness today. Patience and mildness. Meekness, though, is not weakness. Meekness is not weakness. I once heard it said that it takes great strength to limit yourself. I also heard it said, and I'm not totally sure that I 100% think this summarises it, but it's helpful that I've heard it said that weakness is when you can do absolutely nothing, but meekness is when you're making a choice. While I'm not sure this perfectly sums it up, it does help us to recognise that the meek are those who choose to give up some of their rights or choose to limit themselves. Meekness in the Bible, you see, is linked to great power, actually. It's kind of a word that's used to describe something like a stallion, a powerful stallion, but one that has come under the bit and the bridle and is under guidance and is following the lead. Meekness is about emotional constraint. Proverbs 29 says that a man of wrath leads to much strife, and one given to anger causes much sin. Wow. Meekness is the opposite of this. But in our culture, in our society, we seem to celebrate the opposite of meekness. It's not meekness that we celebrate, it's the go-getters that grab the headlines, that are lauded. It's the ones that are self-made women and self-made men. And these are the ones that we hold up in triumph in our society. We are not a culture that encourages meekness. Time and time again, we see revenge movies as the ones that are getting all the views. We see game shows that encourage backstabbing and cutting other people out and manipulation. We see a culture and a magazine culture that celebrates gossip, celebrates backstabbing, that celebrates discussion on who's right and who's in and who's out and who's wrong, who's stupid, who's disgusting, who's made mistakes. This is the sense that we have in a culture that if you're the opposite of meek, then you're encouraged and celebrated. But actually, when you're the opposite of meek, you kind of get what you deserve. You've kind of made your own bed and now it's time to lie in it. Jesus offers us so much more than this, doesn't he? He does, doesn't he? Jesus says, if you try and save your life, you'll lose it. But whoever loses his life for me will surely save it. And he delivers these words that we're reading today, and those words as well, in the context of picking up your daily cross, which means joining with Jesus and picking up your daily sufferings and persecutions and trials and tribulations, picking them up daily. Meekness is another example of picking up your cross. It's about showing restraint. It's about demonstrating patience. It's about bringing yourself in and limiting yourself for the benefit of others. Time and time again we've come to this place. Even in these Beatitudes, Jesus saying, do as I do, just as I see the Father do. He's delivering this as well into a violent world. Don't forget about his context. Into a world that's only known kingdoms that come through force, through oppression, who crush difference, who stomp down on the poor and the sick and the foreigner. And he's saying this as well on the mountainside, remember, to a mixture of people that have been on the receiving end of that. Probably most of the people have been on the receiving end of this brutal power. Probably, most of the people that have heard this story and embraced it in their lives probably will know nothing about them. I love this. He's speaking to people that maybe we would never know anything about what they did with these words. Many people would have heard this. We know some, but we don't know all of them. And many people have received this promise to inherit the earth, this made new, this restored earth that we're promised. We may never have seen them. And I'm convinced that in the corners of unseen places around the world, there are wonderful people living out this. Blessed are those who are meek, and they will inherit the earth. You know, are you one of these stories today? One of these secret stories? One of the stories that no one will ever know about because of your meekness? Are you blessed today not because of your stuff, not because of your status, not because of your fame, but are you blessed because of your future? Are you blessed because of your inheritance? You know, Jesus, while being reviled, he did not revile in return. Jesus, while suffering, he uttered no threats, but he kept entrusting himself to the one who judges righteously. You know, the Message puts this verse like this: you're blessed when you're content with just who you are. No more, no less. That's the moment when you find yourself the proud owner of everything that cannot be bought.